Today, I want to talk about one decision that changed my life. And that decision is to actually take ownership for my own mistakes. What I mean by that is not just saying, oh, I did something wrong and moving on, or, apologizing for something and pretending that it never happened, that you can move on. No, 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 no. I'm talking about actually taking ownership for what I did wrong and what am I going to do to correct it. To give you an example, in the beginning, when I was 18, 19, I signed up for a bunch of credit cards. I started buying a bunch of stuff. I didn't know anything about credit cards. As stupid as it sounds nowadays, I thought I can max out the credit cards and just pay minimum and be fine. Open another credit card, max it out and pay the minimum and I'll be fine. And before I knew it, I had maybe 4 or 5 credit cards that were maxed out. Between all the other bills, gas, and going out, obviously I couldn't keep up with any of it. I would stop paying the cards. Credit line would keep growing. Obviously, the minute that you go over your maximum, there is more penalties. If you stop paying, there's penalties on top of that. What was my reaction? My reaction was to complain about it, to blame the banks, to say how they're being, how they're exploiting people like me. But what the reality is, none of those banks forced me to sign the contract. Obviously, we could argue about should it be okay for credit cards to charge you 20, 30%? That's another conversation. But the point being is, I was the one who decided to take those terms. The terms were in black and white on a piece of paper. I'm the one who put my signature to it. I'm the one who did it. But for years upon years, all I would do is blame the bank instead of take responsibility for my own choices. Unfortunately, for someone like me who, sometimes I'm super hard to learn, I had to hit a really, really rock bottom and make some mistakes that altered my life forever from that point. I had to make some choices. Thankfully, the number one decision I made was enough of my self-pity, enough of the denial and blaming others. I need to end this BS and take responsibility for my situation and my actions. Sure, you don't choose what situation you're going to be born into, but you get to choose what you're going to do with it. And let's face it, if you live in the United States, whether you came here as an immigrant like me or you were born here, you are already way ahead the rest of the world. In no other place can you come from the bottom and make something out of it as easy as you can do it here in the United States. So obviously, this tactic of blaming everything and everyone around me will not change my life, will not change your life. You have to assess your current situation. Be honest with yourself. What's within your control? Whatever situation you're in, what's within your control that you can change? And there's always plenty of things that you can change to make your life progressively better. Sure, it's not gonna change overnight, but you can take one step at a time. Even if every now and then you're gonna fall back, as long as you keep trying to move forward and you take responsibility for your actions, your life can improve. And that's even going back to the previous video, talking about dead-end jobs, loser type of jobs. If you're going home and complaining about that job, instead of going home and looking for a different job, who's at fault? The business owner who refuses to treat you like a human being and pay you a living wage? Or you for putting up with that? And that was me for a good 20 years. I regret my lack of ownership, or as Jocko Willink likes to put it, extreme ownership, and putting up with this for decades upon decades, wasting my time, wasting my life. And honestly, if this video upset you or offended you, most likely you're the person who has to hear this. Because me in my 20s and 30s, if I've heard someone say that to me, I would be deeply offended, telling them how none of the things that are happening to me are my fault, how everything around me conspired against me. The reality is you can still take other actions to get out of that situation. Again, I hope this helped you out. I hope to see you on the next one. If you like the content, subscribe and let me know what you think, what your point of view is on this topic. Have a good day.